Guy Madison names the gay actors of old Hollywood he dated in secret the man the world would know, as Guy Madison began his life as Robert Ozil Moseley, born on January 19, 1922 in Kern County, California. Growing up amidst the economic hardship of the Great Depression, Madison's origins were modest. His early life was steeped in the values of a small community, with no initial plans for a career in show business. After attending Bakersfield College, he pursued agricultural studies, intending to work in animal husbandry. This path was rerouted by the outbreak of the Second World War. Madison joined the U.S. Navy, where he served with distinction as a radio operator in the Pacific Theater. His time in the military deeply influenced his character, forging a sense of duty, patriotism, and humility that would later define many of his on-screen personas. It was during a brief period of leave in Hollywood in 1944 that Madison's life took a pivotal turn. He was noticed by the influential talent agent Henry Wilson, who saw immense potential in his handsome features and believed he could become a major film star. Madison's cinematic debut occurred that very year, with a minor, uncredited part in the David O. Selznick production Since You Went Away. In the romantic drama, he played a wholesome serviceman, a role that resonated powerfully with audiences on the home front. Despite his lack of formal acting training, Madison's brief appearance generated an immense public reaction, and the studio system took immediate notice. Selznick offered him a contract, and his grooming for stardom commenced. Through the latter half of the 1940s, Madison was cast in a number of motion pictures that played up his quintessential American appeal. These included Till the End of Time, 1946, where he starred with Robert Mitchum, and Honeymoon, 1947. While his initial performances drew mixed reactions from critics pointing to his inexperience, Madison's inherent charm and earnest on-screen presence steadily won the public's affection. His most significant breakthrough arrived when he was cast in the title role of the hugely popular radio and television program The Adventures of Wild Bill Hickok, which ran from 1951 to 1958. A Western series drawing inspiration from the historical frontier marshal, the show cemented his status as a beloved cultural figure. Clad in cowboy gear alongside his companion Jingles, portrayed by Andy Devine, Madison embodied Wild Bill Hickok with a combination of rugged heroism and a friendly, down-to-earth demeanor. The program was viewed by millions and was among the first series to be broadcast on both television and radio concurrently. He was admired by children and respected by adults, and his performance was a major contribution to the golden era of the Western in American entertainment. His image appeared on lunchboxes, comic books, and merchandise, and he was a frequent guest at rodeos and public functions, where he consistently treated his fans with warmth and graciousness. Even with his massive success in television, Madison kept acting in movies through the 1950s and 1960s. He starred in a wide array of westerns and action films, such as The Charge at Feather River, 1953, which gained fame for its pioneering application of 3D sound. As the popularity of the Western genre started to fade in the United States, Madison transitioned his career to Europe, finding steady work in Italy. There he became a star in the burgeoning spaghetti western and war film genres of the 1960s. These European ventures kept his acting career thriving and made him a recognizable star to global audiences. Despite the often smaller budgets of these films, Madison approached every role with unwavering professionalism. As the years went by, Madison gradually withdrew from public life. He retired from acting in the late 1970s, but remained a celebrated personality at classic movie festivals and Western-themed conventions. At these events, fans from multiple generations came together to honor the legacy of Wild Bill Hickok and the classic Hollywood Western. In 1996, Madison received a Golden Boot Award in recognition of his significant contributions to the Western genre on film and television, a testament to his lasting impact. At the peak of his Hollywood stardom in 1949, Guy Madison married actress Gail Russell. She was a fellow star who had mesmerized moviegoers with her striking beauty and intensely emotional roles in films like The Uninvited, 1944, and Angel and the Bad Man, 1947. To the public, their marriage seemed like a perfect Hollywood pairing, two young, beautiful, and successful actors. However, behind the glamorous facade, their relationship was plagued by personal difficulties. Russell, a profoundly shy and sensitive individual, battled severe social anxiety and alcoholism, issues that were worsened by the immense pressures of her career. Madison, while initially trying to be supportive, found it increasingly difficult to handle the emotional strain and instability caused by his wife's struggles. As Madison's own career career surged forward, particularly with his leading role in The Adventures of Wild Bill Hickok. The emotional gap between him and Russell widened. They separated in 1953 after 4 years together, with their divorce being finalized in October 1954. Despite the unhappy conclusion of their marriage, Madison was said to have always held compassion for Russell and the personal demons she faced, even as their lives diverged completely. In a swift development, Madison remarried almost immediately after his divorce from Russell was settled. In late October 1954, he married actress Sheila Connolly in a civil service in Juarez, Mexico, a common spot for quick marriages at the time. Connolly, also known for her work in 1950s films, shared Madison's love for the outdoors and family. Their relationship appeared strong and happy in its early years. They created a home and had 3 daughters, Bridget, Erin, and Dolly. Madison, who came from a large family, cherished his role as a father and worked to find a balance between his demanding career and his family life. However, the pressures of the entertainment industry, coupled with Madison's frequent travel for work in both the US and Europe, eventually fractured their marriage. The couple separated by November 1960, and their divorce was finalized in April 1963. Even after their marriage ended, Madison stayed on good terms with Connolly and remained an active and present figure in his daughters' lives. In the years that followed, Madison entered into a relationship with actress Gia Scala, a captivating star of Italian and Irish heritage known for her role in The Guns of Navarone, 1961. While they never married, friends described their connection as passionate and complicated. Scala, celebrated for her charm and vulnerability, also struggled with personal issues, including depression and alcohol dependency, mirroring the challenges faced by Madison's first wife. Despite these difficulties, she and Madison developed a deep and lasting bond. According to biographical accounts, this connection was so significant that before her mysterious and untimely death in 1972, Scala designated Madison as the beneficiary of her portion of the Screen Actors Guild pension fund. This gesture was widely interpreted as a profound expression of her trust and affection, highlighting the powerful connection they shared. In addition to his 3 daughters with Sheila Connolly, Guy Madison also had a son, Robert Madison, who would eventually follow in his father's profession as an actor. Born from a relationship later in Madison's life, Robert was brought up in Italy, where his father spent considerable time in the 1960s and 1970s filming European movies, especially spaghetti westerns. Robert built his own successful acting career in Italy, appearing in various film and television roles. Despite the geographical and generational divide, the relationship between father and son was strong. Guy Madison reportedly provided Robert with support and advice as he navigated the entertainment world, passing down the resilience and professional wisdom that had characterized his own long career. For decades, the public knew Guy Madison as the handsome, quietly spoken hero of westerns, most notably as Wild Bill Hickok. His rugged good looks and gentle boy-next-door persona made him a major heartthrob of the 1940s and 50s, earning him millions of devoted female fans. But beneath the carefully constructed Hollywood image, Madison's life was far more intricate, dictated by the rigid moral standards of the studio era and the constant fear of being exposed in a time that was brutally intolerant of homosexuality. In private journals and letters compiled after his death, Madison unveiled the secret history of his life. This included candid and moving stories of his romantic relationships with other actors, many of whom were also living in the closet, trapped by the same unforgiving social rules. For the first time, famous names from Hollywood's golden age are revealed, not for scandal, but with a quiet dignity, as men who lived and loved in secret, terrified of career annihilation at a time when even a rumor of being gay could be a professional death sentence. Madison's accounts reveal a story of resilience, desire, and profound human connection. He openly discusses his relationship with Ramon Novarro, the silent movie icon famous for his leading role in Ben-Hur, A Tale of the Christ, 1925. Ramon possessed a quiet wisdom and a spiritual depth that the public never saw. Madison's account states, "Our meetings were our sanctuary, quiet escapes to the desert where we could simply be ourselves, far from the judging eyes of the studios." He also writes with great warmth about Tyrone Power, the swashbuckling screen legend whose bisexuality was a persistent rumor but never publicly acknowledged in his lifetime. Madison portrays Power as a man full of charisma yet deeply conflicted, struggling under the weight of his studio contract contract and his personal truth. We found a connection in the later years of his fame, after the cameras were put away and the public mask could be set aside. In those precious, quiet moments, we were just two men trying to grasp what love could mean in a world that refused to acknowledge it. Another name Madison mentions is Anthony Perkins, the star of Psycho, whose sexual orientation was an open secret within the industry. Madison describes their affair as brief but emotionally charged. Tony was young and carried a haunted quality. Madison recalled, he was always uncertain how much of himself he could safely reveal, even with someone who understood the risks. We had a few intense months together, a mix of thrilling passion and constant anxiety. It always felt like he was looking over his shoulder, and he had every reason to be. Perhaps most movingly, Madison details his bond with Rock Hudson, whose death from AIDS-related complications in 1985 triggered a monumental shift in how Hollywood and the public talked about homosexuality. Madison describes their relationship as being a blend of happiness and pain. Rock had this golden boy smile, but his soul belonged to a man who had to fracture himself to get by. Our time together was always stolen, weekends hidden away in Big Bear, or quiet meals at his secluded home. But even stolen moments can feel infinite. Throughout his writings, Madison is careful to avoid sensationalism. His tone is one of reverence and compassion, born from a shared struggle. These weren't just flings or affairs, he wrote. They were deeply meaningful relationships in a world that tried to deny they could even exist. We didn't date in the modern sense. It was secretive, coded, and filled with caution, but it was real. We shared laughter, we comforted each other, we watched sunrises, and dreamed of the lives we wished we could have lived in the open. These revelations also illuminate the heavy emotional price that secrecy exacted on gay men in mid-century Hollywood. Madison writes about the stress of morality clauses in studio contracts, the perpetual danger of being outed by tabloids, and the psychological burden of living a double life. There were times the pretense felt maddening, he confessed. Every interview, every publicity photo with a female co-star was a performance. But the real acting wasn't on screen, it was what we did every single day. Yet, Madison doesn't only focus on the darkness, he also honors the small victories, the coded love notes, the knowing glances on a movie set, the comfort of a hand held secretly under a table. We created happiness wherever we could find it, he writes. In a world that wanted to deny us love, we found it anyway. Guy Madison's choice to share his story, even after his death, provides a new perspective on the lives of countless actors whose true stories have been obscured by sanitized biographies and studio propaganda. His memoir is not just a reclaiming of his own identity, but also a vital contribution to honoring the LGBTQ+ individuals who both built and were constrained by Hollywood's golden age. After retiring from his long and successful career, Guy Madison settled in the serene and beautiful Morongo Valley, situated in the high desert of Southern California. Renowned for its stunning landscapes, wide-open mountain vistas, and tranquil environment, the valley was the perfect sanctuary for Madison after decades in the public eye. He built a sprawling ranch-style house there, a home that mirrored his love for the outdoors and his need for peace and privacy. In his later years, this property was not just his home, but a place where he could immerse himself in nature, host close friends, and enjoy hobbies like gardening and horseback riding, activities that had always appealed to him. As he aged, however, Madison's health began to fail. He developed emphysema, a chronic lung disease that progressively worsened, greatly restricting his mobility and breathing. During his final years, despite his illness, he tried to remain as active as possible. He received visits from friends and stayed in touch with many former colleagues and fans who cherished his work in classic film and television. Guy Madison died on February 6, 1996, at the age of 74. He passed away at the Desert Hospital Hospice in Palm Springs, California, a facility recognized for its compassionate end-of-life care. His death signified the end of an era for the generations of fans who had grown up with him on screen, especially in his legendary role as Wild Bill Hickok. Madison was buried at Forest Lawn Cemetery in Cathedral City, California, a peaceful and immaculately kept cemetery that is the final resting place of many Hollywood legends. His interment there placed him among his peers and acknowledged the profound and lasting mark he left on the entertainment industry. The funeral was a simple simple yet heartfelt ceremony attended by close friends, family, and former colleagues. Among those who honored him was Don Burnett, a close friend and fellow actor who later became a stockbroker. Burnett delivered a moving tribute that celebrated Madison's career, his strong character, and the enduring friendships he built over his lifetime. His words paid respect to Madison not only as a public icon and beloved actor, but as a loyal friend and a humble man who lived his life with integrity, grace, and quiet dignity.